Welcome back to Big Mouth. My connection is unstable. All right, we're back. Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to the Big Mouth Daily Live. And you are very, very welcome. So before I start today, I want to explain why some members of the Snyderverse fandom can be very aggressive towards people, towards detractors. Well, let me tell you why. Let me explain to you why. Because during Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, we got so much hate aimed at two films that we loved deeply, and we stayed quiet, and we breathed in, and we breathed in, and we can, when what happened with Justice League happened, and we did the whole release the Snyder Cut thing, we erupted. All those feelings of years and years and years, seeing so much hatred, the paranoia set in, the everybody hates us thing set in. So this is why some Snyderverse fans may be a little bit aggressive, because during Man of Steel and BVS, it was very difficult. There was a lot of hate and it was hard to take, and we weren't expressing ourselves. Well, I did a very famous video about Batman versus Superman on a previous channel, and I don't even know where that channel is or where that video is. You should try and look for my Batman versus Superman video. I'm standing up in the room next door. Anyway, I just thought I'd give that disclaimer. Why some Snyderverse fans are so aggressive at times. We took a lot of shit. That's why. Anyway, let's start today's Big Mouth Daily. Welcome to the free people in the chat right now. So, I think from the moment they brought in J.J. Abrams to WB Pictures, it was a J.J. Abrams takeover. No question about that. Ronnie Dodge, morning Mick, morning Ronnie, very great to see you on the chat. So basically from the moment J.J. Abrams took over, it was going to be J.J. Abrams' show. So we now know that Toby Emmerich is looking for a new job, or probably has a new job. Now that he and Netflix are denying any discussions have taken place, it's probably looking like he will get some kind of job over there or somewhere else. Next thing you and I will know, he will get a position. They'll say, oh, well, very sad, but congratulations on your new position. It looks like to me that J.J. Abrams' wife will be the next chairman of Warner Brothers Pictures, the film group, in charge of the films on HBO Max and WB Pictures. Either her or J.J. will take over. It makes no difference if it's J.J. Abrams' wife or J.J. himself. Pretty much they are running Warner Brothers Pictures now, right? Now, what does that mean? It means things will change. Things will be made from a filmmaker's perspective. There will be a lot of representation and inclusivity, no question about that. But also, to have a filmmaker running a studio it doesn't happen anywhere. Name me a studio who has a filmmaker in charge of the film division. So this is actually very, very exciting. Yes, there'll be the alt-left stuff, there'll be kind of representation and all of that, but we should also be getting a lot better projects, and from the knowledge of someone who's made great TV and great film. So yes, I do believe that pretty much J.J. Abrams and his wife run the WB Pictures film division, and I think that will be rubber stamped when Toby leaves. I think this is where we're going, and I'm comfortable with that scenario, because at least, as I say, it's coming from a creative perspective. People will scream J.J. Abrams is creatively bankrupt. I don't think he is creatively bankrupt. Alias doesn't come from a creatively bankrupt person. Certainly Lost didn't come from a creatively bankrupt person. Star Trek 2009 didn't come from a creatively bankrupt person. And Star Trek Into Darkness may not be a great Star Trek movie, but it is a good movie. In terms of The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker, he was interfered with by Disney. We know that. Why wasn't he doing the whole trilogy? They're questions that we can address all the time and at another time. But basically, when I look at J.J. Abrams, at least he wants to do what he wants to do. Yes, there will be a lot of, black voices in film and in TV. But at least this is going to be executed by someone who's a creative as I've already said. Ronnie Dodge, I'm excited to see where this goes within the multiverse. Yes, Ronnie, I think it's very interesting because I think one of the aspects of the multiverse is for, representation and inclusion. So you can have a white version of a character, a black version of a character, a Hispanic version of a character, but that can't just be the most important thing. The story element, the characters, the best actors, that's what we need here. But if they get this multiverse strategy right, which I've said from the very, very beginning, this could be something very, very special. What we need to stop doing as DC fans is comparing ourselves to the MCU. We are not the MCU. Everyone is different. Let me give you a great example. There's Neighbours and Home and Away. Neighbours was the bright, easy one, right? Good-looking characters. Home and Away started off being about a family, a couple fostering waifs and strays, right? It was gritty. It had suicide. It had serial killers. Remember the Summer Bay Nutter? Some of you won't know what I'm talking about. You had Dallas and Dynasty, very different soaps. Coronation Street and EastEnders, very different soaps. And, soaps always compare themselves. Hollyoaks is different to a lot of them. It's about good-looking young people. I've always laughed if I played a character on Hollyoaks, I'd turn around and say, "Oh, everyone's really good-looking here apart from me." But so all these franchises kind of have different versions. So everything doesn't have to be copy and pasted. People are saying we're going to the Marvel. In terms of connectivity, shared universe and post-credit scenes, and the good stuff from the MCU, we're going to get that. But why shouldn't we have post-credit scenes and cameos and the great stuff that they do? They did something good there. Don't forget, Green Lantern had an awesome post-credit scene. Why not? The Masters of the Universe was one of the first post-credit scenes. I'll be back. So why not? Why can't we have that good stuff, right? I think there's too many people in the DC fandom who say things have to be a certain way and nothing has to be a certain way. There can be variety. This generation of film viewers and film fans and, consumers want kind of, it's the best or it's the worst. It's the worst ever. Everything has to be the best film ever. Well, every film you see doesn't have to be the best film ever. It just has to be enjoyable, right? And we were lucky growing up. We saw the best films ever. Indiana Jones, E.T., Ghostbusters. They literally are the best films ever. The Godfather, the best films ever. But this is not a generation of the best films ever. The films we're seeing in this generation will not last a lifetime. I actually think Snyder's films will last more than any other one's films because they are unique and different at least. And they're saying something interesting about the world we live in today. So I think future generations can look at that and say, wow, this is interesting. But it doesn't matter about that. This is an interesting era in storytelling, filmmaking, and television. And so you have that. So it's very difficult right now to say what's going to happen. But I'm telling you, I'm going to talk about the new Superman film being developed by Ta-Nehisi Coates in a minute. And I'm going to just go over it again and just say to you, you know what? This is what I believe is going to happen. But I do see the Abrams family taking over Warner Brothers Pictures. They pretty much have done already. Now, will they have more of an agenda to restore the Snyderverse? I don't know. But they're going to take it over. They're going to take over Warner Brothers Pictures. I'm telling you that now. As I say, they're already running it already. There's no question about that. By the way, I apologize if you can't see me properly. If the picture's shit, I'm sorry. Again, at the beginning of the day, I'm trying to upload something on Instagram. It's not doing it. It is probably messing with this as well. So I do apologize. The evening streams seem to have a better internet connection. So I do apologize. I hope you bear with me. We are working, me and my dad, to get better internet. We all can't have the elite YouTubers' connections and editing software and all of that. But I'm not going to silence my voice just because you can't see me properly. Up to you if you stick around with me. I'm an honest chap. I'm a balanced guy. I think I'm a big personality as well. Got an opinion on everything. And I want your opinions as well. And you don't even have to pay for a super chat. Isn't that good? Maybe one day, when if I'm successful. But yeah, so J.J. Abrams, as far as I'm concerned, is the chairman of Warner Brothers Pictures now, and his wife. They're running things now over there. There's no question about that. And that's been happening for a very, very long time. And so I think strategies over there do have to change. I don't want to see a Hollywood reporter telling me about Ta-Nehisi Coates' Superman movie. I want J.J. Abrams out in the public telling us what's going on. J.J. has a Twitter account, which he barely uses. Shabaya Abraham, balanced is good. I think so. I think it's good. I don't pretend to be balanced, just my personality. I was probably a lot more kind of, oh, the Snyderverse is the only thing that should happen, like 5 or 6 years ago. And now I see where we're headed. I think it was from the Multiverse Strategies announcement. I thought, you know what? This could be good. This could be interesting. And this could have a lot of variety. And so I'm here for it. Ronnie George makes me wonder if JJ will be at Fandom. I think he will be. I mean, he's doing Justice League Dark. He's doing Zatanna. And by then, he could be the film chairman of Warner Brothers Pictures as well. Or his wife certainly could. And that's what I'm predicting. So I think JJ will be at Fandom. Look, JJ basically is a big deal now. One way or the other. We know that. He's the one who's brought in Ta-Nehisi Coates. He's the one producing this Superman movie. He is making this happen. No question about that. So, you know, it's difficult. It's very, very, listen, it's difficult for some people who don't like change, don't want to see this. Anyway, now let's move over to this Superman movie. We now know, we always knew this was going to be a black Superman because Ta-Nehisi Coates was never going to write a Superman film about a white Superman. We all knew this from the very, very beginning. Now, a lot of people made assumptions about one of the Supermen of color from DC Comics, but I always suspected that a black Clark Kent would be the way of going at things. Now, before you all get very, very angry, I want you to think about this. An Action Comics 1 adaptation where a black Superman is a slave in his younger life. Imagine this. Anyone seen the Spartacus movie, right, with Kirk Douglas? So we get a Spartacus kind of movie because Spartacus is a slave, isn't it? So this black Superman, who's Clark Kent, who, you know, it's set in 38 or 40s or even the 50s because they've already told us it's a period piece from the 20th century. So I could be right about this. And he's a slave. And ultimately, he breaks the chains of his slavery, maybe even frees the black slaves, but maybe they won't go that far. And then he becomes the hero of the people. Imagine a story like that. That's why I think it could be very, very powerful to have a black Clark Kent. But of course, you could do this without it being Clark Kent. But clearly, this is what they want to do. Now, in all terms of, you know, in all intents and purposes, you know, no one's saying he's replaced Henry Cavill, but they're not talking about Henry Cavill. I don't know what's going on with Henry Cavill. Last time we heard from Henry, you know, the cake's still in his closet. We don't know. But even the article yesterday didn't say he was done. Didn't mention his name, only mentioned Ezra Miller's name, Gal Gadot's name, and Jason Momoa's name. The Hollywood Reporter don't actually know very much, and I can tell that from their articles. Certain things have been given to them. That's very, very true, but I don't think they know everything. So it was an interesting, exciting article, and of course the Toby article was also very exciting. And a lot of people don't know what to make of this because it's not a definite kind of article that he's definitely going. I think he's going. I think his contract is not being renewed. This is why he's sending that poor geriatric to go to Netflix for him. But he's doing his rounds everywhere. I'd be surprised if Netflix, after everything they know, and having Zack in their ear as well, Zack seems to have a good relationship with them. Look, it will be the ironies upon ironies if Zack Snyder, you know, goes to Netflix and has to deal with Toby Emmerich all over again. But then again, I hope he wouldn't be some big deal. I would think Netflix are too smart to bring Toby Emmerich on board. I just can't see it happening, but who knows? But that really isn't my concern where Toby Emmerich goes. I'm interested in Warner Media, Warner Brothers Pictures, and the DC live action universe and where we're headed with it. That's where my interest is. Not interested in Netflix, really. Don't care what happens. I've already explained to you what Netflix does. It buys properties and then the filmmakers have to get on with it. That's their structure. They have nothing to do with creativity. Nothing. They buy the IPs and they let the creatives get on with it. Not because they're good, kind people, because they don't want to, they have no knowledge of it. They say, right, we want to buy this. We're interested in this on our streaming platform. Now get on with it, right? And of course, they have to watch it and green light it when they first see it. But at the end of the day, they're not a creative studio. They just buy stuff up. And I think it's important people understand that. The way Netflix is run isn't the same way as a film studio or a television network is run. They're a lot more part of that process, right? They'll give you your budget, they'll buy the IP, they'll buy, the film or the TV show, and that's it. But literally, these people are just buyers. That's all they are. So a very different structure, and you certainly shouldn't be comparing it to how WB Pictures is run. In a lot of ways, with a lot of things, WB Pictures is run really, really well. They do a really good job. HBO is a great production unit. The Last of Us is going to be awesome. The new Game of Thrones will be awesome. So, just because things went wrong with the DCEU, it doesn't mean all corners of WB are bad. There's obviously some toxicity there, but there's toxicity everywhere in the industry. And there needs to be a governing body, but there isn't. What happened with Noel Clarke shows that all the entertainment industry needs an independent governing body that has nothing to do with the film industry. But unfortunately, the entertainment industry is so powerful, they're never going to allow that to happen. So they wait until the abusers abuse, and then. But I don't think Noel Clarke was, exposed because he was a bad guy. He obviously upset someone of power. They knew what he was doing, and they used it against him and exposed him to get rid of him. He was obviously too problematic, right? So I think that's what happened there. So, but in terms of WB, I don't think they're a bad studio. I think they're only as bad as the rest of the studios, right? It's only that the other studios keep their secrets hidden. That's the only thing. Once you get Snyder on board, you get a lot of tittle-tattlers saying, well, WB did this, WB did that, oh, WB's racist. I don't think they're racist either. I don't. I genuinely don't. The cutting of the people they cut isn't good, but also they had experienced Snyder's work and didn't really want Snyder dealing with Jon Stewart, Ryan Choi, and people like that. That's why. And even Martian Manhunter, him doing Martian Manhunter made them nervous as well. So they just don't like his way of being a creative. And it's as simple as that. That's the way I look at it. It's not about racism. It's like the whole thing of Ray Fisher lying and saying we don't want an angry, when he heard we don't want an angry black man and made it sound racist. It's easy to make that sound racist. But we know the truth is that, in fact, Jeff Johns didn't want a stereotype of an angry black man, right? Representing black people was important to him. So he didn't want Cyborg just to be an angry black man. Do you understand how you can make things look like they're racist, but actually they're not? That's the problem here. And of course, you get I stand with Ray Fisher, whatever he says, whatever he does. He's threatening to come after Netflix if they employ Toby Emmerich. Who do you think you are, Ray? Do you think people are scared of you? You're an actor with a bare CV, a blank CV, basically, my friend. And all of a sudden, you're talking about accountability over entertainment. It proves your heart isn't in entertainment, right? Because entertainment is the last thing on your mind. And that's the facts. I hope he does become Netflix's problem. Then I don't have to worry about him anymore. Because it's a difficult situation now for Ray, because he can see that WB are cleaning house. Do you remember the remedial action after the investigation? And we said, what's going on? Where is this remedial action? Toby Emmerich not having his contract renewed is the remedial action, or some of it. And we're going to see more of this. So they're just pushing away the problem because they don't want to deal with it, because they don't want to be associated with the Snyderverse anymore and what happened with the Justice League reshoots. Because Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamada had nothing to do with that. Or Jason Keeler. Did Ray actually say he will go after Netflix if they hire Toby? Wow. He kind of did. He actually tagged them as well. So at the end of the day, I don't see Netflix being that dumb, because I think they got a good, solid this is the thing I have to say. This is why I'm kind of excited if J.J. Abrams is the new chairman of WB Pictures Films, because at least he's a creative. What does Toby Emmerich know about movies? Now, it's interesting with Bob Iger, because he's an executive and a businessman, but all the decisions he's made while he's been at Disney and running the thing, it shows you a man who actually understands the industry, right? Look how he brought Kevin Feige to fix Star Wars, and Feige brought in Favreau, and how they're fixing the thing now. So Iger is a very smart guy. And, J.J. Abrams is a smart guy, and put in charge, hopefully he makes good decisions, not just for himself, but for the industry, but especially Warner Brothers Pictures. We need someone who cares about entertainment. Now, the argument may be that maybe JJ is another one just interested in politics and representation and inclusion. I don't know, but we'll see. But at the end of the day, I'd rather a creative as chairman of WB Pictures Films Division than, a bureaucrat, right? That position shouldn't have a bureaucrat. That position should be someone who understands entertainment. Bob Iger understands entertainment. He made mistakes. Now, I understand why he pushed George Lucas to one side, because of the prequels. And at that time, people hated Lucas for the prequels and a lot of other things. And, when he did the new edition of the original trilogy and he was putting, CGI things in there, people hated him and said he was just milking the thing dry. I was very excited for all of that. I don't mean this horribly, but is Ray trying to go after every studio? No, it's because Toby Emmerich, who he reckons is responsible for what happened with the DCEU and the forcing out of Snyder. So that's why he's not going after every studio. He's saying to them, if he joins you, then I'm going to be shouting loud and proud. What's his slogan? Entertainment, saying over entertainment, right? That. So he can't do very much. Nobody's scared of Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher hasn't got a loaded gun. He's got, as far as I know, hasn't got any more information to give, because yesterday was certainly the time to spill it after Black Superman was revealed, right? And people say to me, well, is Black Superman about tokenization? Of course it is. Of course it is. But you can still make a good movie out of it. It can still work. Everything is tokenism, isn't it? Everything we see in the entertainment industry. What about in Neighbours, when we used to see the Italian family eating spaghetti? That was supposed to be tokenism, but again, very stereotypical, having an Italian family on the opening credit flipping eating pasta. I mean, how tone deaf can you get? But yeah, so the entertainment industry has been doing this even before we were born. My morning throat isn't working, but yeah, so they've always, it's not a modern thing. We've always had a show. We had Smallville with Pete Ross. That was tokenization. That was tokenism. And he was kind of done dirty, that character. They barely used him. He was just there to see, you see, we've got a black bloke here. And they do this all the time. You see, we've got a black Superman. This is what they do. This is how their minds work, right? They're more racist than anyone. This is not how you represent and include people. They don't get it. Ooh, look, we've got a black director. Aren't we not racist now? Well, actually, it makes it worse, because the black director is there because you want to say, look, there's a black director there. The Superman of color is there so you can say, look, we have a Superman of color. Aren't we good people? That's the problem. That is the very kind of translation of racism, and tone deaf racism at the very least. But that's the industry. That's the industry, we're paying into. Don't forget that. I mean, we could not buy their stuff anytime we wanted. People can bring down any huge organization they want. All we have to do is not give them money. And if they carry on and things are not working, they will go bankrupt. And Hollywood will lose the dominance of the entertainment industry, and somebody else may get it. Maybe in Norway, maybe in another country, not even in the west of the equator, right? Like I know what the equator is. But You know what I mean? So if they keep on doing this and it doesn't work, they will lose. They will go bankrupt and someone else will deal with the entertainment industry. I think Hollywood have had the entertainment industry for too long. And I think the dumbing down and the forgettable movies have been happening a lot longer than you think. In the early 2000s, rom-coms I can't even remember now. Action movies I can't remember now. Maybe even the late 90s, things went downhill. So Hollywood's been dying a slow, painful death for a very, very long time. But don't tell them that, because they think what they always do is fantastic. But it's been a long time since Hollywood was a great organization, a great industry. Because now we know what happens. And, the toxicity in Hollywood has been happening ever since the Wizard of Oz movie. I've heard some despicable things happen there behind the scenes. Do you think it's any different now? No. But they're only going after white men, right? Because everybody else behaves impeccably, right? Not a lot of noise on Noel Clarke from the usual suspects, because it doesn't suit them, because he's not from the narrative they want to attack. So they're going to keep quiet on that. Russell T Davies, gave Noel Clarke a chance on Doctor Who. Where is he? Why isn't he commenting? Right? Did he know about Noel Clarke? Was he like this when he was on Doctor Who? Did he do anything to women and young girls when they were on Doctor Who? What has Billie Piper got to say about Noel Clarke? No, but she's not talking. This is the problem with this industry. We must keep quiet when it suits us. We can't forward our agenda, right? Or if he's a friend of ours, right? So now he's going to get some kind of psychological help, and he'll be back. Hotbeat 187. Everyone's went after Noel, lol. Mick, you've been sleeping. Not everyone, and not as many. If it was old boy Anthony Hopkins, right, everyone would be going, that white man, you see these white men attacking these women. But no, Noel Clarke's a black man. So it's okay for him to do these things, you see, because it's not his fault. It's society's fault, right? He went to the BAFTAs and he was literally talking down to people about racism and how he's a fan of representation and inclusion. Yeah, the representation and inclusion you're interested in, mate, is illegal. So anyway, he'll be back. He'll have his little psychological help, and he'll be back going on about racism and inclusion and representation. He will be back in the industry. He's not finished. They will find a way to bring him back. And yet, the stuff he's done is despicable. Hotbeat 187. A lot of his celebrity friends disowned him, Mick. Who's disowned him? Billie Piper? Russell T Davies? They've said nothing. Yeah, so a lot of his, they're not really his friends. They never were his friends. There's no friends in the entertainment industry. And secretly, and let's be clear here, this is how the entertainment industry works. Publicly, they'll disown you, but some of them will be having drinks with him round his house and getting a couple of prostitutes to celebrate and probably pour cocaine all over them and snort it. This is what this industry is. It's not what you see. Taylor Swift singing about all those men who treated her badly. Boo-hoo, poor baby. It's just funny. It's funny, right? These people make money upon money on the public, and the public don't get it. Oh, I love this celebrity. They're amazing. They're amazing. They're not amazing, right? Once you become famous, you are part of the corrupt system, right? And all you want to do is sell to your public, and that's all they're interested in. You're just a number to all of these people. I am, and you are. And from the moment you actually accept that, you actually understand what's going on. I can stand Robert De Niro for being a great actor, but Robert De Niro would have no respect for me or like me. I'm just a number to him. He doesn't care. And why should he? He lives in a bubble. He's an actor. He's done his thing, right? But we don't mean anything to these people. This is what I'm saying to you. We're just a commodity. And once we accept we're just a commodity, at least we can accept our position. I watch things to enjoy them. I don't need to be loved by the people who make them. I don't need to know who they're shagging and what drug they're snorting. They can do whatever they like they've always done. But now everyone's saying to them, you have to be a good person. Well, there's no good people in the entertainment industry. Forget about it. If I only watched the films of good people, I wouldn't be watching any films. It's time for this generation of fans and media talking about entertainment to actually live in the real world. No one's perfect. No one's smiley and kind and positive. It's like what they say, I only want to be friends with people who are positive. And I don't want to be around negative people. Have you ever met a positive person 24 hours a day? Imagine someone being positive 24 hours a day. Wouldn't that piss you off? Well, it would certainly piss me off. A friend should be able to take your negative side and positive side. And if they can't do that, they are not your friend. It's as simple as that. If you're friends with a famous person, you keep their secrets. You don't tell people about them. You don't tell people who they've slept with or where they live. That's a friend. And if you're a friend with a famous person because they're famous, then you're not their friend, right? This is why, famous people only marry each other, only hang around with each other. How could they trust the public? Let's be honest about it. But you'll report on it if they do wrong. Lol, don't say you don't care about what these celebs do, Mick. Well, what would I say? What would I say? I'm talking about Noel Clarke now, yeah, because Noel Clarke did some pretty iffy things, right? Of course, I'll talk about it, but I'm not shocked by it. That's the difference between you and me, Hotbeat 187. You're surprised by it. I'm not. I know exactly where the bodies are buried. I know exactly how this industry works. This is what people are. And men, all men, let's be honest, all men see women as objects. When you see a beautiful woman, you just don't go, oh, I bet she's got a great personality. But now everyone pretends that I don't see women as objects. When I see a woman in a bikini, I'm not sexually aroused at all. I just want to know her personality. This generation is full of shit, full of shit. I'm not surprised that, I don't look up to celebs. I have parents for that. Oh, you look up to your parents. That's good. But nobody's perfect, Hotbeat 187. Not your parents, not my parents. My dear departed mother or my dad who's in the other room. Nobody's perfect. Nobody should be perfect. I'm not Ronnie Dodge. I'm not positive all the time, and times I'm blunt as hell. But that's just me. But people don't see celebrities being shitty people. Oh my God, they're reviewing your message, Ronnie, because you said shitty. Sorry about that. Going to have to hide it, but I read it. But yes, look, I don't look up to it. When I was a kid, I was so naive. Oh, I want to go to Hollywood. I want to make a speech. Why can't I do it as well? Well, first of all, I'm probably not talented enough, right, to be, an elite Hollywood entertainer. But also, now I know what goes on there. I've told my nephews and nieces, I don't want them going there. No way. Sorry, mate, I got potty mouth. It's all right, no problem. I read it out and just deleted it. It's not a big deal to me, but they review everything. This is the society we live in now, right? This is the society. So everyone on social media, right, lives under, pretense. Their lives are great. They've got the best boyfriends. They've got the best husbands, the best girlfriends, or whatever, right? And they all live under this fake filter world. But that's not them. That's not the real them. When they wake up in the morning, they talk like this. They look like shit like you and me. The difference is when I do videos and I come onto YouTube, I don't have a shower till about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Drizzy Dre, you're right. You're right, Nick, or even Mick. You can call me Nick if you want. But the thing is, it's not about being perfect all the time. And nobody wants to be themselves anymore. Morning, Mick. Manny V. Morning, Manny. Drizzy Dre. Mick. That's all right. You can get my name wrong. But that's the thing now. So we live in this kind of bullshit spectrum. And the entertainment industry forward the bullshit spectrum. I'm about representation and inclusion. Be kind, be kind. Oi, servant, why haven't I got my breakfast? The hypocrisy of people, not just in the entertainment industry, astounds me so much. Everyone pretending they're so perfect. Male celebrities pretending they don't see women as objects, right? Look, our biology, when we see a beautiful woman, is that we want to have sex with her. Now, if you're a mentally stable person, you're going to leave that woman alone. Now, if a woman wants to get with me, she's going to have to come up to me, especially these days. I'm not approaching no woman. But what I can do, when I'm alone at night, I can think about that woman in that bikini. And no one can do nothing to stop stop me. That's fine because I'm not bothering that woman, right? That's the reality of the world. So it's fine. But they're the ones who go onto Instagram waving that booty, right? And us straight men are not supposed to be aroused by that. You're waving your butt cheeks at the camera, and I'm supposed to not be aroused? Really? Sorry, ladies, that's not the reality of life. So as long as you're doing these first posts, the longer I'm going to enjoy them. Mick, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, mate, lol. No, I'm just having a little rant. Sometimes I like to be honest, a bit more honest than normal. Manny V, hopefully it was a typo in the article yesterday, and that meant Kal-El Calvin Harris and not Kal-El Clark Kent. The only difference in their two names being, well, it's interesting. We could have a black Clark Kent, that's for sure. Hot B87, facts, Mick. Good luck walking up to a woman and trying to talk to her. Well, I don't try and talk to women. They talk to me. I don't have a problem like that. I don't go up to them. I don't need to. I admire beautiful women. There's nothing wrong with that. I have a very good relationship with sane women. I have a very good sex life because I don't approach women. They approach me. And basically, if they approach you, you didn't instigate anything, right? Right? You're talking to me. You want to talk to me. You know. What's the rant about today, Mick? Just ranting about life, ranting about the entertainment industry, ranting about people being so fake, pretending they want to be positive 24 hours a day, which is impossible. We're all positive and we're all negative. I had a little negative rant. Now, I'm just telling you the realities of life. As a 48-year-old man, I'm just telling you how the real world is. Everyone's shit stinks. I mean, in this society, not you personally. What's the rant about today, man? Oh, yeah, Hot Beat 187. You can't approach a woman these days and be comfortable. So I actually walk on the other side of the road from them, right? Sometimes they follow me. It's because they recognize me. But anyway, at the end of the day, I don't have a bad relationship with women. But I will never, I don't understand these women on Instagram who pretty much are producing porn, let's be honest about it, and then say, you look at me like I'm an object. No, you're making yourself an object. I'm not making you an object, am I? What am I doing? My biology takes over when I see you. I'm attracted to you. That's it. Right? I'm thinking, I wouldn't mind some of that, right? Who can blame me? You speaking the truth, bro, Drizzy Dre. It's the truth. I am attracted to beautiful women. Now, I don't invade their space. I don't go up to them. I don't disrespect them. But I'm attracted to beautiful women. And I want to have sex with beautiful women. Now, if they don't want to have sex with me, that's cool. I'm not the best looking geezer. I'm just saying how the real world works. This is how the real world works, everyone. But everyone pretending that it's like everyone pretending, judging people who cheat on their partners. Oh, cheat. Well, excuse me, sir. If you took care of business, then I wouldn't have to. If you satisfied your woman, she wouldn't be looking elsewhere or sliding in my DMs, would she, at the end of the day? But you took your woman for granted and she came looking for someone who gave her some love and attention and some decent love making. Mick, you're blunt, mate. You're a legend. Thanks, Ronnie. Drizzy Dre, no matter who you prefer, only they look good to you. You're going to like. Yeah, beauty's in the eye of the beholder as well. But look, at the end of the day, I'm 48 years old and I look at life through the reality lens. I literally live in most of the time. I hate this world. I hate human beings mostly. What I normally do is live in my imagination. I imagine I'm a superhero or I'm James Bond. When I'm on my own, that's what I know I sound nuts, but I don't like the world. I've never liked the world I was born into. Never. I think it's a horrible world, especially now with COVID and what they're doing to us. I hate this world. I wish I lived in some planet like Krypton or, I had the Luke Skywalker adventures. I'd risk my life, but at least you'd feel alive. I don't like this society. I don't like the world I live in. I don't like people mostly. You meet unique people now and again. And do you know what I hate? Do you know what I hate most about humanity? Everyone says the same shit. The same shit. And people my age, this is why I can't stand people my age. All they want to talk about is their kids and their mortgages, right? Some of you have probably got kids. You ain't mentioned them once, right? You're talking about exciting stuff. I don't care about your mortgage. I don't have a mortgage personally. I don't care about your mortgage. I don't care about your wife unless she's attractive, then, you know, but at the end of the day, I don't care about boring everyday shit, right? I like you, have to deal with everyday shit. I have to lift my dad up from here, there, everywhere, right? I have to do that shit. I haven't got a choice. So when I talk about geek, I want to talk about geek. I don't want to tell you about my family and my boring life and my tragedies and what I could have done and what I didn't do. I love Superman. I love DC, but there's a lot of TV shows I've never mentioned. Knight Rider, Dallas, The A-Team, all that shit I stand because it's escapism. This geek is a road to escape. We need that escape psychologically. So if more and more projects are done in the real world, where can we escape to? Well, thankfully, for our physical media that we've got collections of, thankfully. And there's so many wonderful fantasy worlds we can go in because we need to escape from this world because our parents didn't create a good world for us, right? And their parents didn't create a good world for them. And it's like a domino effect. So this is why they're all playing Fortnite now, the kids. Why wouldn't you want to play Fortnite if you were a kid of today? Would you want to live in this world? Fortnite's a bit more fun, right? And that's the world that we live in. And it's sad. It's very, very sad that people want to escape more than they want to live in the real world because it isn't very nice. Imagine it, right? The good-looking guy gets all the attention from the women, right? The guy who's slightly overweight, doesn't got the right face, you know, his eyebrows may join or something, right? Doesn't get the attention. You know, how many guys, when they were at primary school, remember the Valentine's Day post box? How many of you didn't get any Valentine's Day cards in the Valentine's post box, right? Yeah. Is that fair? Is that a fair world? No, because life isn't fair. But we need to learn about rejection. This is why I keep on saying about my nieces and nephews. They need to understand that if they're on the subs bench at football, then they've got to accept it because sometimes you're rejected. And it can't all be easy road and everyone loves you. Ole, ole, ole. That's not life. I've been in situations where I lived in a bedsit. I didn't know where I was going to get the next meal or pay for the next rent, and it was a really hard time. And things didn't get better until I come to Cyprus. So I know about the bad times, and everybody has them. But people these days don't really want to talk like truths. They want to live in a fantasy world. They want to pretend that, you know, I'm kind and I'm positive. You're not. You're not. You've got a stash of heroin in your cupboard. You're selling drugs for a living and you're going on Twitter looking down on everybody else. We all do bad stuff. We all do good stuff. There's no such thing as totally good people or totally bad people. And this is exactly like the entertainment industry. Noel Clarke was putting himself out. I'm gonna go, mate. See you for a live later. Okay, bye, Ronnie. So let's go back to the fantasy world now because I've had my 27 minutes of ranting. I just don't know what started me off. I think it was Noel Clarke. But yeah, so these are the headlines you're waking up to. The same headlines as yesterday. We are getting a black Superman, and it is a realistic kind of thing that Toby Emmerich will no longer be chairman of Warner Brothers Pictures, and J.J. Abrams or his wife will take over that position. I'm saying his wife but it still really means J.J.'s in charge. So I think this is where we're going. From the moment JJ came into Warner Brothers Pictures with the big deal that they offered him, he was running the gaff. And we're seeing this now. So, and he's got his hands all over the central DC universe. So we all thought he might write and direct a Superman film, and maybe one day he will. Maybe the Ta-Nehisi Coates one isn't his project. Maybe he's going to direct and write his own Superman movie. And I hope he adapts the one he wrote a few years ago. And I think that's the dream, and I think that's definitely what he wants to do. Why can't we have another Superman, right? And maybe that could be the Henry Cavill Superman. Maybe there's still hope for Henry. Maybe it's not all over. Who knows? I'm always kind of, glass half full rather than half empty. Henry Cavill hasn't officially announced he's not Superman anymore. And while he doesn't, and while the industry insiders don't say, I know they're saying he's kind of done, but they don't know, right? Until it's official. I believe in my hearts of hearts that Henry will announce it if he's not involved anymore. And it'll be something like this. I have loved playing Superman for all these years, blah, blah, blah. Then we know it's over. And it will be sad, but at least we've got Man of Steel, BVS, and Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. 3 films, and if you're desperate, you can go and watch him in Justice League as well. I mean, some of the stuff he does in there isn't that bad, but the CGI on his face is despicable, and I can't justify that one little bit. But this is where we are. We can't delete Justice League. It's there. Hopefully, Flashpoint does delete Justice League. That would be really, really good for me and my point of view. Ronnie Dodge, I'm going to go, mate. Oh, no, I've read that. Hotbeat 187. What did I say for you to do that, eh? If you're honest, if you just erupt with honesty sometimes, it's a lot healthier. Do you know that rant, what I just made? It made me feel so good. It's like, I was just honest. I fancy beautiful women, and that's all right. When I see a woman in a bikini, it's all right to fancy them. Yeah, I wish we could delete that movie. Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of it, but I get what you're saying, Hotbeat 187. Listen, you can't delete it. Like you can't delete Superman 4 or other films you may not like. You know, my generation has got Superman 4. But you know what? There's elements of that film that are okay, and there's elements of Justice League that I'm not saying they can compare to what Zack did, but like the race between the Flash and Superman, that's a pretty cool thing. I mean, we never actually saw them race, but we saw a build-up to a race. I wonder if Joss Whedon actually filmed the full race. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to find out? Release the Whedon cut. That's going to wind a few people up. I should do that. If anyone in my fellow Snyderverse fandom ever wind me up, I'm just going to start them release the Joss cut. I like winding people up sometimes. If the agenda of the Snyderverse fandom gets too much and the propaganda isn't true, I mean, like they keep on going on and on about Joker and how, you know, they lost money, blah, 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 because they brought in some other funding. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. You can't keep on going on about the same things. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares. They're not, just because you said that, it doesn't mean they're going to bring back the Snyderverse. I don't know if the Snyderverse will be restored. I can't say yes and I can't say no. I don't know. It's not looking good right now, but who knows? Anything's possible. Anything's possible in this game. We just have to wait and see. So there's always hope. Of course, there's always hope. But at this moment in time, it doesn't look possible that that's going to happen. Not with his blah, blah, blah CGI in his movies and TV show. You've seen the Nevers. Well, I haven't seen the Nevers, but Hotbeat 187, there's a lot more storytelling and good films and TV than CGI. If I judge Smallville from all of its CGI, I wouldn't like the show. But it's about more than that, actually. Smallville CGI is pretty cool. But you know what I mean? So yeah, just because Joss Whedon did some bad stuff, it doesn't all of a sudden mean Buffy and that race would look like crap. I don't think it would. I think it would look awesome, and I want to see it. No, I'm talking about Whedon, but I think yeah. But just because Whedon, let's look at Whedon with Justice League. And let's look at, he had the same time to finish off his reshoots as Zack did. The film was still being released on the same date as Zack's movie was going to be released. Joss had no time. They gave him a job to do and didn't give him the time. So, of course, he was stressed. Of course, he was taking it out. He turned up at a party where he didn't want the guests who were there to be there. And basically, the guests, who are the actors, didn't want him to be the host, a.k.a. the director. So they all hated each other from the beginning. He replaced Zack Snyder. So the cast who loved Zack weren't going to be happy about that. But that wasn't Whedon's fault. The way he conducted himself was his responsibility and certainly wasn't good enough. But we weren't in his position. He took his 30 pieces of silver, which not eventually, but at the time was a Batgirl movie. He wanted that so badly, and he didn't get it. And that was it. That was the end. That was the end. And I would have rebooted the whole franchise after Justice League. But this is what they're doing. They're doing the multiverse strategy. They're doing Flashpoint. So let's see if it can be successful. Hobby 187. I've watched all Whedon's stuff, including Alias, and that was wicked, but not because of the CGI. Alias. J.J. Abrams did Alias, not Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon did Buffy and Angel and that space thing, but he didn't do Alias. Alias is a J.J. Abrams production. Drizzy Dre. For Justice League, it's kind of cool that Zack modeled the characters after people from certain parts of the Bible. Yeah, this is what Zack does, and I mean, that's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's pretty interesting. Manny V, I liked Firefly. Firefly was awesome, wasn't it? Hotbeat 187, Avengers. Yeah, he did Avengers, and he did Avengers Age of Ultron. Avengers is better than Avengers Age of Ultron. I get the impression that someone else was helping him with the first Avengers, and he took over Avengers Age of Ultron. So it wasn't as good a film as the first one. I still think Avengers Age of Ultron is a pretty wicked film. There's some great kind of dynamics between the characters. So yeah, so at the end of the day, some things don't age well as well. We've got to remember that. You're saying it's 20 years old. It's going to be a bit dated. But you can still appreciate it. There's a lot of stuff. The Looney Tunes cartoons are a little bit dated now. They still look great to me, and I still enjoy them. And I know how old they are. Things can be old. Things can still be enjoyed. I'm old, but people can still enjoy me. It's good. Man of Steel looks wicked till this day. Yeah, Man of Steel looks like a brand new movie. It was really made, to last. I mean, the VFX is amazing. The film itself is amazing, of course. That film is on another level. That's just basically after Superman Returns, they wanted loads of action. And then everyone complained they got too much action. But that film is the ultimate kind of superhero alien invasion film, isn't it? So awesome, so awesome. And I love it. I love it. Such a great movie. And when they get to the Daily Planet at the end, you just want more action. You think, what? Oh my God, it's like being on a drug, isn't it? And it's calming down and it's wearing down. You think, oh, I need another one. That's what I felt about Man of Steel. It was like this adrenaline rush and you didn't want it to be over. Amazing. It's a great movie. It's a great movie. I think if people didn't complain about too much action, maybe Batman versus Superman would have been a different movie too. Because that film didn't have as much action as Man of Steel. It was more of a talky movie, an indie movie, wasn't it? Maybe that was always the plan. Did they have a plan? Was there a plan? Hotbeat 187, exactly, yep. So, yeah, Man of Steel is a great adrenaline rush. I love that film, and I think everyone who watches it, Drizzy Dre, Zack's movies are timeless. Yeah, look, Zack's movies will always look great because he uses the best cameras, he uses the best VFX teams, the best stunt work. This is how he does it. So if you like those kind of films, if you like, storytelling told visually rather than verbally, then that's for you and Zack's for you. But there are people who don't like that kind of storytelling, and that's fair and that's right, as long as they're constructive with their criticism. I think that's the problem with Snyder. He triggers too many people. I don't know why so many people are triggered by the guy and the way he makes his films. We live in a very polarizing society. No, I think it's because of his eye, yeah, obviously his art, but take away his tools, for example, if he was, imagine if he was in Richard Donner's shoes in 1978 with no VFX. Could he have done the special effects as well as Dick Donner and his team did it? Because Zack pretty much uses the technology of today. But if you take his special effects away from him, can he still do the same work? This is the problem when you're dealing in visual storytelling. Without the visual tools, can you still make the great movie? I'm not being a Zack hater. I'm just putting the question there. He made that short film on an iPhone. It looks great. Yes, it does look great, but I've already forgotten it. Honestly, right? But yeah, great. You can make films on an iPhone. I could make a film on an iPhone. I'm not saying I'd make it look as great as Zack did, but we can all do that. I'd like to do that a lot more, actually, because it's fun. But yeah, Zack's a talented guy. We know that. His fans appreciate him. That's the important thing. But not lol, stop it, Mick. Okay, Hotbeat 187. But at the end of the day, he has his fans, but not everyone's going to be your fan, right? For everyone who likes me, there's another 5 people who hate me. That's the balance of life. So, you're going to have to expect people to be triggered by Zach sometimes because they don't understand him and they don't understand his medium of storytelling. And so, and it's all right. If you're just doing a zombie movie, nobody cares. But you are working with Superman and iconic DC characters. So people care how you represent these characters. And if you do it in a way that people don't like and people think you're bitching against what these characters should be, then people are going to have a triggered response to you. And this all started with Watchmen. Now, I like Watchmen, I like Man of Steel, I love BVS, and I love Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. But it's a very different take on these characters. As one of you just said, using religious analogies to describe these characters is a very different thing. And so, we've got to remember that there are people out there who have bought comic books, 5 times a week for all their lives and have read these characters' stories. So when they see a filmmaker do this, they are triggered. I understand their point of view. I don't agree with their point of view, but I understand their point of view because everyone's coming from different positions. Hotbeat 187, it's weird why these crazy gatekeepers get so triggered by Snyder, because one day someone somewhere is going to think they're Zack Snyder and they're going to try and do the same thing and you're going to be a gatekeeper. Look, honestly, it's not just that they're gatekeepers. Well, they are gatekeepers, but you can throw a term like that and it makes people look bad. As I've tried to explain, these are people that have been reading these comics and stories and been inspired by Superman and Batman all their lives. That's why. It's not just about what we want and what we like. This is what they're trying to do with the new DCEU. Have a balance, have a bit of variety so they can get everyone at the party. No, I watch all movies, Mick. Well, that's good. That's awesome. I mean, we don't have many movies these days. It's pretty much all capes now, which is a shame. I love capes, but at the end of the day, we don't get a varied kind of topic of films anymore. My era of growing up, I could go to HMV. I could buy Kevin Costner's No Way Out. I could buy, a Star Wars movie. Very different times. I could buy a Disney animated movie. There was a variety of film. There's not now. It's pretty much all capes. And as great as that is, it also can be boring. How many versions of a superhero film can you see? Right? That's the problem. As much as I love them, how long can this go on for? It can't, can it? But hopefully we can go on a little bit longer and we can see DC become the best franchise ever. That's what I'm hoping for. But who knows what the future holds? I certainly don't. I don't have a crystal ball. But we do need a variety of films. I miss HMV and Virgin stores and Blockbuster, Hotbeat 187. I used to love walking up my local high street on my day off every Tuesday. I'd have about 20 quid and I spend it in there and I could buy films for £5 on VHS. So I'd buy I was obsessed with Kevin Costner. I'd be buying The Untouchables. I mean, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. But there were so many different films you could watch back then. As I say, we had a variety. Now it's the next superhero movie, right? The next superhero TV show, the next streaming show. After the streaming shows, you can't even buy their content on physical media. But this is where we're going now. Drizzy Dre, I'm ready for Black Adam and the Eternals. Black Adam, I'm not sure about the Eternals. I know nothing about them, but definitely Black Adam. Can't wait for that. Hotbeat 187, Untouchables is classic, especially that bit with the pram going down the stairs. That's ace movie making, isn't it? But yeah, what a movie. What about when De Niro smashes that guy's head in? And that guy keeps on going like this, right? This is the problem with nodding your head and trying to agree so you can fit in all the time, right? De Niro, Al Capone, basically didn't like that yes man. So he's like, yeah. And basically he gets the baseball bat and smashes his head. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. Oh, wow. The snowflakes these days. You mean Untouchables classic? Sorry, Hotbeat 187. Great. Oh, yeah, that's a great moment, isn't it? But, of course, now they even want to ban Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs because apparently the prince, when Snow White is dead and he's kissing her, apparently he didn't ask for permission before he kissed her, even though she was under a spell or dead. Anyway, that's the crazy people of this world, I'm afraid. Once you start taking lunatics seriously, the lunatics take over the asylum. Always remember that. Oh, definitely, I agree, 187. I can't read it, but yeah. But we're just living in a different era with a different mentality. People take films so seriously now, they think it's real. So it's like the Joker. Oh, the Joker was trying to make excuses for men doing what they do, like raping women, killing women, blah 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 blah. No, the Joker movie is, direct commentary to the mentally ill and how badly they're treated. And if they were treated better, maybe certain terrible things wouldn't happen. That's the point of the Joker movie. But they didn't get it. They thought it was about making excuses for men's behavior because this is how these nut jobs think. So, made $1 billion. So thanks for all the fuss, you nutters, because if it wasn't for you, probably the film wouldn't have made $1 billion. You made people think that this was going to be such a big deal that they went to see a big deal, and it made the film a lot of money. So Warner Brothers must have been laughing at that. Drizzy Dre, WB has the IPs that rule the world. They just need someone who knows the IPs and put in a respective put in their respective positions and make a plan and push forward. Yeah, it's looking like they do have some kind of plan, Drizzy Dre. I don't know what's going on. We will see. That's the thing. We will see. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Apparently, Peacemaker has got some Easter eggs for, the past DCEU or something. So that's exciting. What are they going to do there? Could we have a cameo? We'll have to wait and see. But this is what they're doing now. It's all going to be interconnected. This is what is now. To be fair to Zack, his films were interconnected. Batman versus Superman and Man of Steel connect. Suicide Squad connects to BVS. Wonder Woman isn't so connective to the other previous movies because that's when they got scared about Zack and his vision. Because at that point they thought Zack was a madman and they just wanted to get as far away from his movies and his mentality as possible. So yeah, I do agree, Drizzy Dre, definitely. The potential in these IPs is sensational. And you just need someone to say, Jesus Christ, let's just do these. Just straight adapt these things. Be interesting. That's why I'd be really excited about an Action Comics #1, adaptation into a movie. Of course, there'll be a difference because it'll be a black Superman, potentially a black Clark Kent. But that makes it even more interesting. We're talking about 1938, 48, the 50s, these are, interesting times to have a black Superman do a black Superman story. So the potential there is limitless. I'm guessing this is why it's going to be a period piece in the 20th century. And I miss the 20th century. So, obviously Wonder Woman 84 was a great representation of the 20th century. Was Patty Jenkins on drugs during 1984? Because that's not the 80s I remember. She made people in the 80s look like bloody clowns. That's not what we were like. She didn't even get the time period accurate. It's ridiculous. Some of these creators are embarrassing. But the problem is when you live in a bubble and you have the protection of this bubble, you can do and say anything you want. And this is the entertainment industry. And that's a shame because there's great stories to tell out there. The shame now these days, it is all about comics and superheroes. There's not many original tales being told. Now, what's amazing about the Joker movie, it's an original tale. Yeah, I know it's inspired by Taxi Driver and things like that, but it's still its own tale. It kind of is a bit like one of the Joker ones. I forgot what it's called, but one of the Joker graphic novels. It's inspired by that a little bit, but it's not copy and pasted. So there's a little bit more originality. We get a brand new character playing the Joker, Arthur Fleck. So there's originality in that, which I think is really, really cool. So yeah, it's we do need a lot more originality in the entertainment industry these days because it's not really there. And I grew up during a time where it was there. Heartbeat 187. There's plenty of movies, but Mick, you need to look, not take what they give you. There's plenty of movies, but Mick, you need to look, not take what they give you. Well, listen, I don't think there's a variety there anymore, Heartbeat 187. I really don't. I don't think they're making a variety of films. It's political now. They're making films that represent and include. They're not making films for their stories or their nuance, and that's the problem. You go on to Netflix. It's all about representation and inclusion. There's about 25 movies starring women. Do I really want to watch a film starring 25 films starring a woman? Is that what I want? It's not for me. This industry isn't for me. They're not making films for me anymore. They did when I was growing up, but they're not making now. You can argue when I was growing up, they weren't making films for young women. There should have been a balance. I agree with that. But now they're saying, we're going to do to you what you did to us. Well, that's not inclusion. That's not representation. That's not equality. That's revenge, isn't it? And that's my issue with the mentality from these people today, especially these people from the entertainment industry. And so there may be plenty of movies, but there's not plenty of good movies, Hotbeat 187. That's the way I look at it anyway. You know, the Fast and the Furious movies, same thing, same thing, same thing. True, action movies aren't really action movies we grew up with. No, they're not. They're crap. They're boring. The music is not interesting. The action's not that interesting. It's just the same old thing. There's nothing new out there. There's nothing original out there. It's just the same version. It's a different version of the same thing. Too much woke stuff pushed in. Well, unfortunately, you can have woke with good stories, but they don't do good woke. They do bad woke. That's the problem. I don't mind woke if it's done properly. Lethal Weapon was very, very woke, right? But it was great. It was done well. You know, woke doesn't have to be bad, right? If you're telling a good story with good actors and good characters, that's the main thing. And we see a white guy being welcomed into a black guy's family, like Martin Riggs is in the Lethal Weapon saga. It's a beautiful thing, right? But they don't know how to do that anymore. They don't even want to do that anymore. They just want to say, look, we're representing, look, are we good? That's all they want to do. These are very childish, juvenile people. Their mentalities are not great because entertainment doesn't come first anymore. So that's the problem with that. So it's okay to be fair and equal and all of that, but at least entertain us at the same time. And as I've just said, they don't want to do that. And that's the problem with that. We've lost the entertainment element in our entertainment. And when you're not being entertained, why should I support your industry if you can't do what you're supposed to do? Because you've gone political, you've gone mad. But you can be political and go mad, but still do great stuff, as Oliver Stone used to do. Wow, Mick, you need to be on TV like Barry Norman. Yeah, that would be awesome. Oh, I used to love, but actually growing up, I hated Barry Norman. But now with the critics that we've got, I'd dig Barry Norman up if he's dead. I don't know, but I used to hate. Why does he like all these indie movies and these foreign movies? I used to think, why don't he like E.T. and these other films, right? But now I understand why he hated mainstream Hollywood. Now I understand when it's too late. Young people always learn when they get older, when it's too late. And I learned when it was too late. Barry Norman was warning us about Hollywood and the mainstream element of Hollywood and just going down that direction. This is why he liked the French movies with English subtitles. I get it now, because those films actually have got more nuance in them, right, than these films. Heartbeat 187, well, facts. And the era we live in is the MCU fans actually think the MCU is better than The Godfather, right? When you're dealing with a generation like that, you can't deal with these people anymore. You know, to say the MCU is better than any Godfather, even Godfather 3 is better than anything from the MCU, right? They actually think the films that we grew up with aren't very good and the MCU is better than them just because it made money. You're on fire today, Mick. Ha, ha, ha. Thank you, Hotbeat 187. I do try, but that's the point. They come from a substandard generation. Just think about, right? Just think about the era and generation we lived in. Everything was outside. We could go outside with our friends. We went to the pub. We used to have handheld games like Donkey Kong and Dracula. We used to have like the Commodore and the Spectrum. And that's when it all began. Do you remember when our parents would say, go outside? Every weekend, me and my brother and my cousin used to get our bikes and ride down Keston Ponds, right? Our lives were outside. Our lives were free. It was still a dark, dark world. There was murders. There was killers. Of course, it was still scary living in the UK. Well, still one of the most scariest places in the world. But the point is our lives were different. And the films that we got, it's not just the films that were superior. The mentality was superior. I didn't have an Instagram to go on or a Twitter to go on or a YouTube to go on, right? I saw my favorite actors. I looked up to them. I didn't know they were shitty people. So ignorance was bliss, right? Well, now we can't be ignorant because everything's in our faces. 100,000 opinions are being thrown at us 24 hours a day, and it fries your brain because every opinion is the opposite to your opinion. it's good to have opposite opinions, but it's too much. There's people attacking what you love all day. And this is when I take a break. This is when I say, good night, 10 o'clock at night, when they're really going for it. I'm ready for bed because I can't go night clubbing. We've got a lockdown here in Cyprus. Normally I would go clubbing. That was my life, going clubbing every night till about 6 a.m. in the morning and waking up, you know, on the sand, and some woman would be dragging me. What are you doing? What are you doing? Obviously, I'd shagged her or something, right? And she's trying to wake me up. You've got to go home now. I've got sand all over me. Wow, those were the days. But we come from a different generation. But look, just think about this. Just think about this for a minute, right? Think about the 50s and the 60s and rock and roll and the fun those people had and the discoveries they made and sitting in the cinema watching movies in their cars. Wasn't that a better era of humanity than the kids have got here? It's shit. These kids have got a shit. They're going to have shit memories. Do you remember when we played Fortnite? Oh, that was, do you remember when we went on Twitter and we took pictures of each other? Do you remember when we sexted? Oh, those were the days, right? You're from a shit generation that you're going to have nothing. They have tricked you. They have lulled you. They have lulled you into thinking being part of this zombie generation actually works. Your whole life is looking at a screen. Live with that. Live with that. My life and my history is about going out with my mates, getting pissed, you know, going into a nightclub, you know, who knows who I'd end up with. But now, you spoke to a woman. You can't speak to a woman without asking her permission first. Well, what am I going to do? Bellow it through the beating of a nightclub? Please, may I speak to you? Mate, can I look at you as you walk off and size up? You're behind. Is that all right? Do I have permission to do that? Men looking at women as objects, looking at her body. Trishy Dre, the woke stuff they're pushing on adults is crazy. Give us normal movies. Give PG-16 and under movies the woke stuff. The truth is, right, it doesn't matter what these people say. These people are worse than us. They do all the things that they say we shouldn't do. Do you remember a few months ago when that poor woman, Sarah, was murdered and they wanted to lock all men up from 6 o'clock at night? And I was saying, do it. Lock me up from 6 o'clock at night, right? That would be awesome, right? My girlfriend can go out so I can go on the PS. I can do whatever I want. Relax. You want to lock me up from 6 at night? I've had my youth, right? It's cool. Don't worry about it. But we live in an insane world. As I say, once the maniacs take over the asylum, that's the end. And unfortunately, big industry like the entertainment industry has allowed the maniacs to take over it. So there's no sane people there anymore. So I don't get upset with what they're doing with entertainment because I've got superior entertainment over there in my cabinet. And they try and kick my door down and say you can't have that anymore because that's giving a bad message, right? They try and do that. If we do get that bad and they try and take our stuff away from us, let them try. Let them try. Let them try. These kids only sit on tablets and games and not reacting with people in the real world and make them. That's it. They're not living in a real life. This is real life to them. This is the real world. When these females, right, have got that angle like that, so it makes them look fitter than they actually are. They actually think that's a reality, and they think they're superior. So if they call it, if an ugly lad tries to talk to them, it's like, what are you talking to me for, eh? Basically, they want to. That's what they want now. That's what they want. They want to judge what it is, right? So what it is now, it's all stereotypes. So all men are bad. Every single black person is good. All white people are bad. It's just stereotypes. Oh, and the LGBT community are a community that hold hands together and love each other. I've been to gay nightclubs. I've had good times at gay nightclubs, actually, but I've been to gay nightclubs and I've seen how those guys treat each other. And it isn't holding hands, right? But they talk about the LGBT community, of course, is the trans community, the gay community, right? All that community. But when you start calling something the LGBTQ community, it's like everyone's holding hands and they're good people and straight people are bad. I don't look at the world in that way. I treat everyone, and you notice here, as an individual. I don't care about the color of your skin or if you're gay or you're trans. That doesn't define you to me. You can be whatever you want. I treat you as an individual, and if you're a person that I click with, that's cool. Whatever your background is, however you identify as, everyone should be judged as an individual and not as a group of people. So yeah, so everyone should be judged individually, and that's how life should be, and that's how I look at the world, as individuals. But once you live in a world where every certain groups are good and certain groups are bad, and it's like this whole not all men thing. Do you remember that? When some guys were saying not all men are serial killers, right? And then sarcastically all these women were going, not all men. But this is an interesting point I made to all these women attacking men after poor Sarah tragically died and we were all bad all of a sudden. I said, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a husband? So if all men are bad, you should divorce your husband. No, you're not going to divorce your husband. You're not going to divorce your boyfriend, your pretty boy that you do the couple selfies with. Then it's not all men then. Oh, sorry, it's not. It's all men apart from your boyfriend and your husband that you're whipping, right? Who's scared of you when he hears your footsteps. It's either all men or not all men. If it's all men, divorce your husband, dump your boyfriends, but you're not going to do that because you're hypocrites. And have you noticed when they were talking about taking back their streets, it's not trending anymore, so they're not talking about it anymore. So it's all very, very hilarious. It's funny how this video has become about life rather than entertainment. But we do talk a lot, don't we? And it's good. True, Mick, true, which is right. So at the end of the day, if it is all men, dump your boyfriends, dump your husbands. There was someone on Twitter who's got a boyfriend, who's pregnant, going on and on about how men are bad, blah, blah, blah. Dump your boyfriend. Dump your boyfriend and the father of your child. No. But I thought you said all men are bad. So all men are bad apart from your partner. That doesn't make any sense. So, and yes, that's the thing, Hot B187. They used this poor young woman's tragedy, her family's tragedy, to make a point against all men. This is the point I made at the time. It was very upsetting to me. Imagine going on Twitter and basically saying that I am a serial killer, that I would see harm to women, when I'm the most gentlest person in the world, and I respect everyone and I love everyone and I treat people as individuals, telling me that every single man can be a serial killer or a rapist and we should be locked up at 6 o'clock at night. That broke my heart. I cried. That affected my mental health. I actually had to take my meds that night, and I don't always have to take my meds because I do suffer with mental illness. And I've learned like meditation and stuff, so I don't have to take those meds. It calms me down. But those days, or that day when that was happening, I had to take my meds. It was very damaging because that was not true. What they were saying was not true. And that was very, very sad. Very sad indeed that we were all being attacked for the actions. But they didn't want to talk about the fact that a policeman killed this woman. A policeman. How did they let this guy become a policeman? They didn't want to talk about that. They wanted to talk about all men being bad. Every channel you turned on. I couldn't watch TV anymore. How can you when your whole gender's being attacked? We just need to be kind, brave, and have courage. We don't even have to be, we just have to be ourselves. Not everyone's, look, nobody's kind 24 hours a day, right? I said the same, it was madness after she died. Watching the news was a joke, seeing all the women coming up with all this. And Drizzy Dre, it's like everyone is a Gemini, two-faced peoples, no sides is good, just bad and badder. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? We're all flawed. We're all flawed, and no one can be kind 24 hours a day and kind and brave. I can be a coward, I can be a hero. That's what humanity is. Once we realize what we say on the internet, what most people say on the internet, is fraudulent. And it's really funny. I see someone like Gary Lineker, throwing kindness and balance all the time. No one's like that in the real life. How many times you've been married, mate? You can't be that nice a bloody person. The hypocrisy is there. It's like, imagine if we met someone like J.R. Ewing in real life and he started saying kindness and bravery. But mate, I see you every week on Bloody Dallas. You're a right bastard, you know. Or Dirty Den. You know, we must all be kind. But you're Dirty Den. You gave your wife divorce papers on Christmas bloody day, mate. You see, it will be like that. That's what people really are like Dirty Den and J.R. Ewing. By the way, I have got an idea for a Dallas reboot. I'd like to make a female JR, and I'd like her to be the biggest bitch. Imagine these people these days, a woman can't be bad. Yeah, exactly. Nobody said nothing about him being a policeman at all. Lol, Hotbeat 187. Yeah, nobody wanted to talk about that. They just wanted to talk about the fact that he was a man. That's the thing. Do you know how many groups of young women I've seen on the streets bothering young men? Even older women wolf whistling. Now, you know they were saying they wanted to make wolf whistling illegal. Women wolf whistle more than men do, but they don't want to talk about that, do they? I don't watch the news ever. Well, the news is full of propaganda. My dad watches it. I don't. I basically see the news on Twitter and things like that, and I ignore it, and I give my spin on the news. But at the end of the day, you've got to understand, media and film has always been propaganda. It's always been about controlling us. Any media, YouTube, you can start thinking what I'm thinking just because I'm telling you what I think. It's fucking hypnotic, right? And that's the crazy thing. But you've got to be a strong personality so you can take what other people are saying and judge it for yourself rather than letting other people's think be your thing. The fandom menace do it all the time, don't they? By the time you finish a fandom menace video, you're just thinking, what it is, they want you to think like them. They want you to be enraged. This divide and conquer, because the fandom menace don't actually believe in what they say. The fandom menace, people like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers has actually been very honest that he doesn't care about Star Wars really. He's just there for the money. That's it. They look at their analytics 24/7. I don't look at my analytics. I'd cry, right? But they're obsessed with making money. It's a business to them. They don't have real jobs, right? So it's all about manipulation. Media is about manipulation. Film and TV is about manipulation. Everything's about manipulation. Look, Only Fools and Horses was about manipulation. But that kind of manipulation is cool, right? Because not everyone wants to buy a little truck and start doing dodgy deals. The point is, storytelling is about manipulation. You're creating something that's not real. Actors are fake 24/7. Can you expect them to be genuine in the real world? They're used to pretending. So that's their reality. Everyone is a victim of their own reality. But we just need to be calm and understand that nobody is perfect, right? And so it turns out that Noel Clarke isn't perfect. But the stuff he did was very, very bad. The naked auditions were very, very bad. And he got found out. He got exposed because he upset the wrong people. That's what happened. You think those two journalists just exposed him when they woke up in the morning? No, they were probably paid to expose him by someone high up in the entertainment industry. That's how the world really works. That's how entertainment works. None of these people are kind and soft and fuzzy and gentle. You cross these people, you're in trouble. But with us, the fans, if we cross them to a certain extent, they won't do anything to us because we are the consumer. They need us. So at the end of the day, they can attack us and mute us on social media, but they still know we'll watch their shit. That's the difference. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting world. He wasn't moving, right? Yeah. So at the end, yeah, he wasn't moving. So they were going to get rid of him. They wanted to get rid of him. They wanted to, look, obviously for some reason, Noel Clarke upset someone upstairs somewhere. Was it at Sky? Was it somewhere else? Someone exposed him for a reason. It's like Harvey Weinstein. All those years he was doing all that shit, right? No one was doing anything. They all knew about it. They were mates with him. And then when it suited them, they removed him. Not because of what he was doing. It's like Kevin, what's his name? Oh, Jesus Christ. Kevin, what's his name? Lex Luthor, Kevin Spacey, that's it. One of the greatest actors ever, but he was doing some serious shit. Now, from a certain point of view, at a certain time, he was this guy who saved the theatrical scene in London and everybody loved him. But on the quiet, he was doing some very bad things with some very young lads, right? Why wasn't that exposed earlier? There was a time, young men were reporting him and it was being covered up. But when it was time to expose him, they did, because he did something to upset the people upstairs. This is how it works. It's not because they care about the bad things that these people have done. Why is it that so many females do the same stuff in the entertainment industry to young men as these what so-called white dudes do, but everyone covers it up? Because it doesn't suit their agenda to expose women doing the same things as men do. So that's the truth of the industry. So that's the reality of the industry. It's amusing how high-powered life works, but I'm not blind to it. I know how this world works. So it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me to say I know how it works. And I can say that I'm part of this corrupt society. And sometimes I'm a corrupt person. And sometimes when I see a beautiful woman in a bikini, I am thinking in my head some things that I would never say out loud, and that's right. And I wouldn't approach that woman or make her feel uncomfortable. I can go home and use my imagination at night, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop me. But that's the best way of dealing with life, right? You use your imagination. No one can stop you. No one's ever going to know. It's cool. This is how the real world works. But now you can't think. You can't even think these things. You shouldn't be thinking these things. But welcome to the real world, sweetheart. We're all thinking these things. Women, men, people who don't have a specific gender, people who have different gender pronouns. We're all thinking this immoral stuff. No one's moral 24/7. Sometimes we're moral, sometimes we think immoral. But as long as we don't hurt people with our immorality and it stays in our heads, in our fantasies, that's cool with me. Harvey, Bill, R. Kelly, Kevin, they know what they were doing a long time, but they use things to waver over people's head. Exactly. When it's time, when these people get too big for their boots, then they expose them. That's the real world. That's how it works, right? When you are not a threat to power, you're all right. But when you get too big for your boots, right? This is why they removed the woman from the Star Wars show, right? When she was harmless, but they decided it was time to shut her down. And also, she's a bit of a manipulator as well. She's not much of an actor anyway. So now she's using the fandom menace to make some money, right? This is what it's all about. And they want to get rid of you for good. That's what they do. Ultimately, now with the internet, you can't get rid of someone for good. Although, in the end, I think Trump had to go because of what happened at the Capitol building was terrible, and you can't, his manipulations went too far, and he couldn't be allowed to carry on social media with what he was doing every day. He was talking about fake elections, blah 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 blah. He enticed what happened. It's as simple as that. And what a world we live in. Hollywood don't fire people. They expose them and send them to prison. Yeah, but this is a funny thing about Harvey Weinstein. I actually think he's probably not in a proper prison cell. Or if he is, it's got diamonds around it and he gets 4 course meals every day. Even he's not getting proper punishment. But he had a good life for 50, 60 years. He got away with it for 50, 60 years. What's he complaining about? In the end, you've got to quit while you're ahead. He should have quit while he was ahead, retired with his millions and millions, but these people are greedy. And the entertainment industry, they all come from the same background. They dominate the entertainment industry. There's no real representation. It doesn't matter if they're Asian people or black people, they all come from the same gangster background as the people running the entertainment industry. So it's not even real representation. Always remember that. The brand new black Superman won't be your average black man from the UK or someone with an ordinary background. He'll come from the same background as them, right? This is how it works, right? This is how it works. This is the truth of all industry. Certain people with certain backgrounds dominate power and money and success. And you dare try and expose that or take it away from them, they'll have you. And that's the truth. That is the truth. So I think we're going to call it a day now. I think it's been great. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We talked about films, life, how nobody's perfect, how some people pretending to be perfect, and we all know they're not. And we talked about this generation who are going to have a great time remembering what they did on Fortnite. Anyway, I'll be back tonight with Big Mouth Live. I'll be here about 6 p.m. UK time. If you don't know what UK time is, you're going to have to work it out on the internet. Look on the screen. That's what it's there for. It can give you the secrets of the universe, although they're not really the secrets of the universe. They'd never tell you that. Great show, Mick. Hotbeat 187. Yeah, thank you very much, Hotbeat 187. You've been great too. The truth will set you free. See you again soon. I'll be back after I do some corrupt things. Who knows what I'll be up to till I see you again. Maybe I'll go on Instagram and look for women in bikinis. Why not? They're all there. They all. Oh, by the way, before I go, this OnlyFans thing is hilarious. I would never pay for an OnlyFans girl. It's so funny. Just enjoy their marketing, right? Their marketing's great. They're shaking the old booty, right? They're trying to look sexy and stuff, and they want you. Oh, what about when they do their discounts? I don't care. You've just shown me everything I need to know with your marketing. I'll see you tonight. See you later. I'll be back soon. Tonight, 6 p.m. UK time. See you again soon.